Díogh go léir cóide agus tá fáilte ród. Welcome to my story with me, Mary Honan, on Lear Media, supporting the Limerick Children's Grief Centre. And my lovely guest today, I've had Naomi Miller from New Jersey in the United States. I've had Naomi on before. Naomi's parents were both Holocaust survivors, but Naomi sang a beautiful piece of music for her son, it was written for his bar mitzvah, and her son is profoundly deaf, and it's very, I suppose it's very poignant now with Coda winning an Oscar, winning so much at the Oscars. Children of deaf adults. Naomi is here now today also with David, her accompanist. I always have a problem saying that word, accompanist. Hi, David.
Hello, nice to be here.
It's a pleasure. And David, you told me you came to Ireland and stayed in Dromoland. You must have lots of money if you stayed in Dromoland, David.
I used to, and then I stayed in Dromoland.
It's actually a stunning castle, but very expensive. I danced there I was a principal dancer for 14 years in Bunratty Castle, and we used to perform in Dromoland. Yeah, it was a fabulous place. Did you like Ireland?
I would go back in a second. I thought it was the most magical place. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, it has its moments, weather aside. If we get beautiful weather, we're very lucky. Naomi, you're on today because we were chatting in private chat on Facebook, and you got this crazy but wonderful idea to run a concert because you're a singer, and to run a concert in aid of the Ukrainian victims, I suppose. Do you think it's because you, or someone said there one day, we're not doing it, we're doing it because we're Jewish. Do you think it's because of you being the child of Holocaust survivors that has made you, I suppose, more sentient or more understanding of the suffering of these people in Ukraine?
Mary, you took the words out of my mouth. When I saw the bombings, the torture, the destruction of homes, the killing of children, the not having a place to sleep, the hunger, I started thinking about my parents.
Yeah.
My parents experienced what's a more horrible word than fear?
Panic, desperation.
Desperation, yes. It was horrific what my parents went through. My parents both lost their entire families. My father had a wife and two boys that were killed by the Nazis. Europe was destroyed. People had no place to go. And then I realized that I was very grateful. There was an agency called HIAS, H-I-A-S, Hebrew Immigrant something. I don't know what the letters stand for exactly, but they were instrumental in resettling me and my parents after the war. So my parents met in a displaced persons camp in Randsburg, Germany. I was born there. We came to America when I was 1.5 years old.
Oh, I didn't know actually that you were born in Germany.
Yeah.
I actually thought you were always a New Jersey woman.
Nope. So how did they resettle us? We arrived in November of 47, and in December, we were in their office every day, sometimes once a week, and they kept track of every meeting. I have a file that they sent me with notes from every single meeting. They housed us, they clothed us, they gave us food, they gave us shelter, they looked for employment for my father. So I have first-hand knowledge of what this agency did for us and continues to do. Hayat is, their main headquarters are in New York and in Washington, D.C. They do not have an office in Ukraine, but they have a satellite partner, which is called Right to Protection. So the money that I am going to raise from this concert will go directly to Hayat. They will send the money directly to Right to Protection, and that agency will do everything and anything to help those that are fleeing. It's interesting, a friend of mine wanted to send diapers to Ukraine. So I called the staff member that I've been in touch with at Hayat, and I said, where can my friend send diapers? And she said, don't send them. She said, it's easier if you send the money and it goes to Right to Protection because they know what to buy, where to buy, and to whom to give it.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense as well because you don't know sizes or anything, and you don't know what people's circumstances are.
Right.
You know, and sometimes, as they said, they know what's the priority, what they for these people, and you know, I suppose with all this COVID restrictions and everything like that, you don't often know what to send for the best, you know, like clothing. Is it okay to send clothing and things like that? Have countries got restrictions on that? But how far have you and David got with the concert so far, Naomi?
Oh, that's a good question. I have recruited approximately 20 professional, talented musicians. They range from some celebrities and some not celebrities, but still professional. And that includes Dave, who is
Not a professional.
yes, he's a professional. Dave is a composer.
Very modest, David, very modest.
Dave is a composer and arranger. He has composed original music and arranged incredible liturgical music from a CD that he just produced. He is my assistant actually in producing this concert because he's also very technical. I had no idea how to download and upload, not my expertise. Well,
everyone has something, Naomi. Your voice is your gem. Your voice is your jewel. Some people are very technical, and David then is very musical as well. So it's a great regret of mine that I actually didn't learn the piano or the harp. The harp was my favorite instrument.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
David, I can remember my mother saying to me, if you're very good now, Mary, I'll buy you a harp for St. Patrick's Day. And I was an only child. You can't begin to imagine how good I was for a full week. Now, Mum was living in Ireland with me because Dad was in England. He couldn't get a job. I thought we were rich. I thought I was going to be getting this big concert harp. I got a small little thing to put on my jumper. For St. Patrick's Day. And I'd say I was 6, and I have never forgotten that. The disappointment of not getting a full-sized concert harp.
Oh,
well.
And I won't learn something unless I have all the gear.
No,
I won't learn on a makeshift anything. I have to have the gear and then I learn.
well,
So
I
that's why I
encourage
never learned.
you. I encourage you to buy what you need because the curiosity about music that a person has it's in you and I can tell you really wanted that harp. So I would encourage you to spend the money. Maybe if you don't stay at Drumolen this time around, but I would think that even that it's never a bad investment to buy a musical instrument. My parents bought me a small keyboard when I was younger, and now I do it for a living.
Yeah, my
So
friend Anne, she's a pianist. She said to me, Mary, I'll teach you the piano. All you need is a keyboard. I have a keyboard. We have a keyboard over there in the studio. That if you're ever in Ireland, either David, you can come into the studio and play on our keyboard. It's a
oh,
Yamaha.
thank you.
Mary, I have an idea.
Have you?
Yeah, here's the idea.
You
There's
might
a
regret
job,
this now, David. Naomi's ideas are legendary.
Yes.
get us a job in Ireland. We'll be there. We'll be there.
Fabulous,
We'll do a
fabulous.
concert. We'll do a concert.
We'll do a
One
concert.
one thing I want to mention, just regarding my trip in Ireland, that because I was paralyzed by a drunk driver, so I have a spinal cord injury, and I drive
Oh,
with
David.
my right foot instead of my left foot on the pedal, the same way I
Okay.
play the piano. And so I'm telling you this because when I was in Galway, we rented a car, so I was driving with my right foot on the pedal on the right side of the car on the left side of the road.
That's
Oh,
right.
oh,
Somehow I made it home.
oh,
I can
Mary,
never understand why Ireland, England, and Australia, I think, are the only three countries that drive on the correct side of the road. All of the rest of you drive on the wrong side.
Mary, I'm changing my idea. If you get us a job in Ireland, I'm driving. I'm not going to let Dave drive. He'll
I don't
scare
think
me.
I trust you either.
So I wanted to tell you also what's happening with the concert. When I recruited these performers, I asked them to send one song pre-taped, a self-tape, a song of hope and peace. And I am just so thrilled at the array of songs that have been submitted.
Fabulous.
Each one is heartfelt. Each one is speaking to the Ukrainian citizens. We're telling them that we're here, we're raising money. Another reason that I thought of doing this concert, my husband passed away 2 years ago. He had pancreatic cancer, and we brought him home from the hospital to have hospice in my house, in our house. I had two caregivers, one for the evening shift and one for the day shift. The man who took care of my husband during the day, his name is Vitaly. At the time, I didn't know he was Ukrainian. When the war broke out, the first thing I did when I heard what was happening, I called him. I said, Vitaly, what can we do? He was besides himself. His mom and his daughter from a first marriage were still in Ukraine.
That's dreadful.
Oh, he was just so frightened. And at the time when the war first broke out, the Russians were not hitting the western border. So he felt that they were a little safe because they were living there in the west. But
Yeah.
you know, since then things have changed. So Vitaly, and the fact that my parents were in the Holocaust and lost their families. I think those two things were the inspiration for this concert. It's going to take place on Sunday, April 10th, 2
Lovely.
p.m., Facebook Live. Um,
Lovely.
the other thing, we were asked to figure out how to put it on YouTube because we're realizing that a lot of people are not on Facebook. So
Yeah,
we're going to
yeah.
work on
Yeah,
that. Right?
well, I'm sure we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, you can, and you can also put it on LinkedIn, and you can put it on Twitter.
Hmm.
So I think there are some programs that will allow you to put them onto all four simultaneously. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I'll look
so
into that.
I know we're starting to use a program, and I think as far as I know that it's going to be allowing you to do the four at the same time. If you buy the pro package, I think it allows you to do Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube all at the same time.
Wow. Do you know what it's called?
I'll find out for you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll find out when the interview is over, and Pat Barry knows my producer. He knows the program because he actually found it, and it's actually very good. You can talk and you can introduce a song, so you could be on camera and you can say, and now I'm going to. Such a person is singing, and then they can come on camera, and you're off for the length of time that they're singing, and then you're back on again, so you can host it
Oh,
yourself.
use that for the concert.
Yeah. So,
But there's a friend of ours, well, a guy we know, we get a lot of printing done from him. His name is Konstantin Vashko, and Konstantin is from Ukraine, and his wife is from the Ukraine. And they were distraught, of course, because her family were in the Ukraine at the time, and thankfully now they're safe. But yeah, it's when you know somebody, Naomi, even tentatively, when you know somebody who is connected to it brings it that bit more into light for you. Sometimes when you look at wars and you think, oh, it's happening in so and so such and such of a country, I don't know anybody there, but when you know a family that has family there, it almost makes it more. That's why I think the interviews with Holocaust survivors and their children like you, I think it's always good when you listen about a horror like that through the eyes of one person or one family. Then it actually makes it easier to understand it. 6 million Jews dying is difficult to comprehend, but when you can learn it through the testimony of one survivor or the child of one survivor, that makes it easier. And when you know somebody like I know Constantine, it makes it easier to empathize, I think, with events.
I agree. Because I felt Vitali's desperation. He didn't, certainly he wasn't going to go to Ukraine, but there was his mom and his daughter.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what he's going through right now.
We can just hope, I suppose, that sense prevails and that they can come to an agreement between the two leaders that will take into account both their sensibilities, and I suppose allow Russia, the Russian leader, to maybe get out of this without losing face, because that's probably the one thing that will probably prevent him from actually stopping this war, is the fact that, I mean, if someone is backed into a corner, they're less likely to stop. But if they're given a reason to stop fighting, and they don't look as if they've been beaten, that they've negotiated, I think it's a good thing, and I think at the moment they're talking in some way. So hopefully it'll come to an end soon.
Mary, I'd like to just mention that during the presentation of this concert, we will be doing live performances as well. Both Naomi and she will sing, and I will play as well, because we want to give a nice counterpoint to the videos that we present. You know, the immediacy and the presence of a live performance is kind of inimitable. So we're very excited to do that as well.
And you've written a song, Naomi.
Yes, I have.
You're going to sing something for us that is your own composition. Is it a mix? Did both you and David write it, or did what?
Now, my husband and I wrote this song, and the music was composed by a Tony Award winner. His name is Larry Hockman. Larry and I have worked together for many years. I did, years ago, he and his partner owned a recording studio in New Jersey. And I did just about all of my recordings in their studio. Um, so I enlisted him to compose the music, which he did. And if you like, I will sing it for you.
I would love you to sing. I'd be honored if you sang it.
Oh, but I still have to tell you how the song really came about. I met a man in Florida who is a sculptor. His name is Jim Luke, Lewk. He was presenting his work at an art festival in Florida, and there were all, streets lined with big white tents. And all of a sudden, there was a major storm. So my husband and I, by sheer coincidence, ended up in Jim's tent. And we got to talking. He tells me that when he was 4 years old, he lived on a farm with his grandmother in France. When the Nazis invaded France, his grandmother, Katrina, which happens to be Dave's wife's name, his grandmother, Katrina, hid Jewish children from the Nazis. Jim was 4 years old at the time, and Grandma said to him, "You have to help me. You have to sit by the window. If you see soldiers approaching, I want you to say a nonsense word as a warning." So the nonsense word was kalupka. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, but it meant get the kids, hide them.
Kalipka.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that word down. I like it. I like
It's a
it very much.
nonsense
It's
word.
just after giving me an idea, Kalipka.
Okay. So, as he's telling me the story, he's crying. Crying. A few years later, I went to Florida again, and sure enough, he's displaying his work, and I asked him for more details, and again, he's crying. So, he was the inspiration for this song. Why? Because his grandmother, and even him at the age of 4, knowing why he was saying that word, knowing that those Jewish children were going to have to scamper and get hidden real quick, he knew that Grandma was risking her life.
Yeah.
And that's how this song came about. It was originally dedicated to those who risked their lives to save Jewish people. The song doesn't refer to the Holocaust. So when I look,
It's a song for all times, really.
yes, so I think now you'll understand what these lyrics are about.
danger, what will become of me if I risk my life for a stranger? I cannot eat or sleep. Should I do what my conscience tells me? I cannot just stand by. What I know in my heart compels me. Sheltering people I don't know. Hide them, feed them, save them. I can't pretend that I don't know. Save them now. So I risk my life. So I put my family in danger. I will do what's right. I will risk my life for a stranger. I'll help the people I don't know. Hide them, feed them, save them. I will protect them from the foe. The fear I'm facing will not show. I will do what's right. Protect them from their plight. Save them. Save them. Save them.
That sounded really wonderful, Naomi. Thank you so very much. And David, beautiful. What was it that this? It's just beautiful when creative people are able to produce something, something from their souls, really, in order to help people that they've never met and probably will never meet, but something, I suppose, connects the Ukrainian people with the suffering that your family experienced, and you're able to try and, I suppose, bridge the gap between you through music. It's wonderful, really. It's a wonderful gift, that both of you have. I just, I sing, but I as I say, I don't play an instrument, and I envy anyone who does. So the concert is on the 10th
Of
and
April,
of April, and it's going live.
going live. It'll be Facebook Live. I'm the MC. I will be singing this song. I am in the process of learning a Ukrainian lullaby, which I will dedicate to the children. It's in Ukrainian, and
Wow.
Dave wrote out an arrangement. Dave is also going to play a piece.
Yeah, a piece written by a Ukrainian, a famous Ukrainian Jew. So you have that to look forward to.
Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, David and Naomi Miller, all the way from New Jersey, in the United States, thank you both very, very much for being on my story today. No doubt, Naomi and David as well, it won't be the last time you'll be on the show. And Shindera leis an chlár, that's the end of the show. Until the next time, Lacunah Day, Bawalam tu galer Chiacana, Sonus agus Groi, wish you peace, happiness and love agus Gadesh Slán. Shalom.
Thank you. Shalom.
Shalom, and thank you, Mary.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
This was wonderful. We appreciate
You're
it.
very good. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.